Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. Hamza Yousaf and the SNP have a problem. They want independence. They want to bestride the world stage, making friends, forging partnerships, and joining important organisations. And of course, one of those important organisations would be Nato. And Scotland needs to join Nato. Alone, Scotland does not have much by way of defence and so needs to forge that partnership so that it can guarantee itself while using the forces of others. And that's all very fine and pleasant. And under normal circumstances, NATO would welcome them with open arms because they have a very strategic position stuck on the North Atlantic there, just where the Russian submarines go. However, Scotland will not be joining NATO. Scotland, as it stands, will be rejected. NATO will say no, because the Scottish have one little problem, and that is that the SNP are anti-nuclear weapons and indeed want to get rid of the Faslane submarine base where the nuclear submarines go, because no nukes in Scotland. Oh dear, that's a problem. NATO is very much pro-nukes. At least 3 of its members have nukes. What's a boy to do, Hamza? You want to be a big boy and play on the world stage, and yet NATO says no. Let's look at this article and see what's going on. Hamza Yousaf is a joke. He wants this independent Scotland, but the very first thing, the primary reason, in fact, of why a government exists is the defence of the nation. It doesn't matter what country it is. The defence of the nation is the single most important reason for actually having a government. It is to continue the state. It is for the state to be safe, to secure the safety of its citizens. Before he's even got an independent Scotland, Hamza Yousaf has failed in his primary duty. He's a serial failure, and now he's failing on the most fundamental, important aspect of even being an independent country: the security of that country. What a moron this man truly is. But look at it. SNP's defence policy is in tatters, as NATO says nations that signed the anti-nuclear treaty are not welcome. Guess who signed the treaty? Go on, I'll give you 3 guesses. Right first time. Nicola Sturgeon reiterated her party's commitments to the treaty on the prohibition of nuclear weapons last year, but the defence organisation has called it incompatible with their policies. What is wrong? Why, when they sign this up, they must surely know that NATO is pro-nuke. The SNP's hopes of joining NATO in the event of Skexit are in tatters after the defence organisation reiterated its opposition to the treaty on the prohibition of nuclear weapons. That policy has shifted over the years to signing up to NATO, but also banning nuclear weapons from Scotland. The two are not compatible. If you sign the anti-nuke policy, you cannot join NATO. This would mean dismantling the installation at Faslane on the Clyde, where Britain's nuclear deterrent Trident is based. Critics have pointed out that NATO is a nuclear organisation, but the SNP has argued that only 3 members actually have nuclear weapons on their soil, but the ones that don't do not object in principle to nuclear deterrence. That's the important thing. Scotland does. Scotland signed up to that treaty and therefore cannot join NATO. It's genius on the part of the SNP, isn't it? We'll go and be an independent country and we'll join all these organisations like NATO and the UN. NATO say, no, you cannot join. And the EU say, no, you cannot join. Good luck. And of course, the other thing about losing Faslane is you have all those very, very, very highly paid, highly skilled, highly technical jobs that would disappear. And with them, all the money in the local community would disappear too. And you'd make that area third world. Well done. Wonderful thinking, isn't it? Let's get rid of all the highly skilled jobs and watch them all go down to, say, Portsmouth, perhaps. It's madness, isn't it? Anyway, former leader Nicola Sturgeon reiterated that the party's commitment to signing the TPNW last year, amid suggestions its opposition to nuclear could be dropped. And last month, new leader Hamza Yousaf said an independent Scotland would have a constitution banning nuclear weapons. However, the Vilnius summit, which took place this week, looks to have ended any hopes that the two policies are compatible. In a communication released after the summit in Lithuania, the body said, "We iterate or reiterate, that the Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons stands in opposition to and is inconsistent and incompatible with the Alliance's nuclear deterrence policy. It's at odds with the existing non-proliferation and disarmament architecture. It risks undermining the NPT, the Treaty on Non-Proliferation of Nuclear Weapons, and does not take into account the current security environment. In other words, Scotland, you're on your own. If you go independent, you have no defence at all. NATO is not obliged to defend you. So when the Russians come in, take over the top of Scotland to stop you spying on their submarines and declare it part of the new rising Soviet Union, it appears to be, you will have nothing to do. You will not be able to stop them, and you cannot call on others to do so either, because you are led by morons. Absolute morons who don't see the consequences of their actions. And I've said this time and time again. The SNP want to look virtuous. They do these things to be wonderful and look at us, we're brilliant. And they don't look at the consequences of their actions, because actions have consequences. It adds that NATO does not believe that there is any argument that the TPNW reflects or in any way contributes to the development of customary international law, and the body calls on our partners and all other countries to reflect realistically on the ban treaty's impact on international peace and security, including on the NPT, and join us in working to improve collective security through tangible and verifiable measures that can reduce strategic risks and enable lasting progress on nuclear disarmament. What they're saying is that the actual not the non-proliferation treaty, but the ban on nuclears that Scotland's signing up to, actually makes the world more dangerous. It breaks down any security problems. You do not have security with this treaty, this non-nuke treaty. It's making the world more dangerous. It's unbelievable. And Scotland want to be great. Look at us. We've signed this. You're making the situation worse, and you're failing to look around at what's happening in the world at the moment. The world is getting incredibly dangerous again. Been there before. I was there during the Cold War. I thought we might have peace until we realised that we didn't. It's very dangerous. And then these people are saying, oh no, we want to make the place worse, but in doing so we'll look virtuous. Morons. Anyway, the commitment came a week after NATO published an article on its website saying nuclear weapons are a core component of its overall capacities and capabilities for deterrence and defence, along with conventional and missile defence forces. In June last year, Ms Sturgeon insisted there was no conflict in joining NATO and signing the TPNW. And yet there is, because she also is a moron, and she thinks that because she says something, it must be true. Well, slap in the face with a wet kipper, love. You're wrong again. You're wrong, again. You cannot help yourself. You lie and you're wrong. Well done. And there she is. There's the woman that has now effectively left Scotland defenceless if it became an independent country. God, she is an awful woman, isn't she? What an idiot. Who voted her in? Morons. Morons who want Scotland defenceless. Good game, lads. Play silly games, win silly prizes. She just won the best. There you go. Scotland, an independent Scotland, will not be allowed to join NATO because the policies of madness have taken over. Anyway, I shall finish there and I shall come up. So there we go. The serial failmeister, Humza Yousaf, fails again. Only this time he fails before he even starts. Why do the SNP keep doing these things? Why do they keep going, we're going to do this as our policy, not look to see what the consequences of that policy are, then it fails, and then they blame Westminster, or whatever, right? When it is clear to most people, I think, most people can see that if you do A, then B, then C, these are the game is called consequences, and they just don't play this game. If you do one thing, it leads automatically to another thing, or it leads to a point where you must make a choice at the very least. They sign up to look virtuous, and in it, they write their own collapse. By signing up to this treaty, they've effectively ruled out an independent Scotland. You'd think they'd want an independent Scotland since that's what they're all about. And if that's the case, why they signed up to this treaty? It is lunacy, isn't it? But they are. They're absolute cretins, every single one of them. Poor Scotland. run by cretins. The lunatics have truly taken over the asylum. It is fun to watch, but it can be very serious. I know, it can be absolutely serious. But, you know, they're so full of themselves, they don't understand the dangers they pose to everyone. Effectively, everyone in NATO. Anyway, I shall stop there. Thank you very much for watching. If you like what you're seeing here on the channel, please hit the subscribe button. And please do. A lot of people who watch, about 70% of the people who watch the channel regularly aren't subscribers. Takes a second. Hit the button. Be a subscriber. Help the channel. Because it pushes us out. It sends the message wider and further. Anyway, until next time, stay safe, stay well, and remember, it won't last forever. You'll soon vote them out. And my God, I bet you can't wait. Bye.